Okay, so today I'm talking to Kelly Greenslade. She's one of our Human Design Launch Blueprint students, one of our amazing students. And Kelly has very kindly agreed to have a chat about the kind of things that she got out of Human Design Launch Blueprint, and as a way of helping you if you're deciding whether this is for you or not, then we're going to go through a few questions and talk about Kelly's experience with the program. So welcome, Kelly. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, I'm excited to have you. So first of all, so we get to know you, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Kelly Greenslade. I'm a personal trainer and sports nutritionist, and I train people in person and online. So based out of a private studio on the Sunshine Coast, and obviously on all the social platforms.
So how did you come across human design? Like what's been your journey with human design, and how did you come across the course? How did you come across Launch Blueprint?
Well, I feel very privileged and have a unique experience of my introduction to it because I was introduced to it by you. So, so being my previous office boss, my 9 to 5, which both of us hated, we kind of went on an equal journey down two parallel paths, I want to say. I went down, obviously, my path of personal training, and you went down your path. And at the time, we'd started, I guess, bringing in oils and things like that into the workplace while we were kind of transitioning through that to kind of make it a better environment for us. And you weren't doing human design at the start, but you kind of stumbled across it through your own journey, I guess, and then slowly introduced it to me. So you started talking to me about it. We were good soundboards for each other. And so I found it through you. And I basically was pretty much hooked the first time that you did a human design chart for me. And I was like, holy shit, this is me. Like,
you were like, what are you reading? What is that?
You know me? Yeah, so that's how I was introduced to it. So I'm very lucky. I kind of ground zero client.
You're the OG, the true sense of the word. Yeah. So you've obviously got your own business. So you do online clients, and
yes.
You have containers that are in person and online. So I know you're starting to launch more and more online containers. So
yes, because I'm full in person.
Sorry?
I'm full in person. So
so what were you finding the most challenging things about launching programs in this digital world?
I just had no process. So it was and I'm a very organized human being, and I like to plan things.
Your channel 952. You were watching Channel of Concentration. That's perfectly.
And I just wasn't doing that. Number one, I had no idea how to launch something. So I just assumed that people chuck shit up on internet and everyone's like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing in the universe. Sign me up. So yeah, I just had no process. There was nothing in place. I was just splashing stuff up on the internet, left, right, and center. And as you always say, content was gallivanting around unsupervised. And yeah, there was just no process at all in place. It was just, I had an idea and then I posted it up on the internet. And one of my very first ones that I tried to do for online clients was ABT, so abs, butts and thighs, because that's women's problem area. Yes. And I got exactly zero interest from that, and all I was doing was just basically posting that it was available up, and that's it. So there was no process behind it at all. There was no kind of grab for people. There was nothing of interest, and I didn't really understand about how the best way to get that interest was and how to engage with anyone who showed interest in it. So there was just nothing. There was nothing in place. It was just willy-nilly posting stuff up and hoping for the best, crossing my fingers.
Kind of throwing it all at the wall and see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you, when you came across Human Design Launch Blueprint, did you have any hesitations about enrolling? Like, what was your thought process around the enrollment for that?
Because of the fact that I've had several launches, which were, and I'm going to say this, and I know you'll probably pull me up in my coaching session tomorrow for this, but unsuccessful launches. So I've tried a couple of different things. And then you presented this as an opportunity. And so I was like, I'm at 100%. So there's zero hesitation whatsoever. I'm very lucky because obviously I was already coaching with you prior. So I have a good relationship with you, and you know me very well, and I know you very well, and I trust you implicitly. So there was no hesitation for me to sign up for it, but it just happened to be, for me, like legitimately the most perfect timing that you decided to do this. And of course it's because, you know, I needed it from you, right? So that's why you came up with it, I'm sure of it.
Everything I create is for you.
So I'd actually had 2 challenge ideas coming up very shortly that I wanted to, and we were talking about that in my coaching sessions in particular. And so when you said, oh, you know, this is what I'm looking at doing, I'm like, I'm there, 100% tick. Yep, lock me in, sort it out. Yes.
Great. Perfect. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. So how did the program help you integrate your human design into your process? Like, how easy was that for you? And is it something that you feel you can kind of take going forwards as well? Because I guess what I'm trying to get to, if you're watching this with this question, is how easy once you've taken the course is it to integrate your human design into it, or is it kind of a process that's more challenging? That's what I'm trying to
I didn't find it too difficult. Again, because I have been working with you for a little bit, I know my human design quite well, and I've been implementing bits and pieces of that into my business since we've started. So I find the human design stuff quite easy to take on board, because I think of it more in the space of I just don't fight against it, I guess. I think it's the easiest way to describe it. So I just take it on board as it is. And there's definitely times when, you know, I'm trying to overthink stuff, and I definitely shouldn't do that. For the most part, it's not how I work in business. I work from my sacral. And so for me, sometimes I still go to that place, but I just remind myself, if I kind of get that spun out feeling of using that head center when I probably shouldn't be, then I just, you know, always come back to that base or that core place. So I just try not to fight against it. And I think that's why it's so easy for me to kind of integrate that. It's because I have done that work with you previously. But in saying that, I know that when you first did the first group chat, we had such a good class, and it was such a great conversation that we had in that, very specifically in that first meeting. And I feel like we all kind of just trusted you from early on. Obviously I trust you because I know you, but the other girls or the other ladies who did the course, I'm not sure if they had been there before, but we all kind of trusted each other very early on, and it was just a very good conversation. And I think that having that support and having, you know, the way that you explain things is real life stuff, so it makes sense, and therefore it's easier not to push against that stuff, because it makes sense as to why you would make that decision in that way, or why you would, you know, launch in a certain way because of, you know, and I think that in general, when you're following your kind of, what's the best way to put it? You're honoring your human design. When you're honoring your human design, it actually feels easier to do things because you're honoring the way that you are and the way that you work. So I think that for me, it wasn't very difficult at all to go through that launch process, integrating that human design aspect, because it is how I should be doing stuff. And so I found it quite easy. The most challenging thing was getting out of my own way, in the way that, you know, understanding, okay, well, I need to actually sit down and plan this, and I am a planner and I should be doing that. So why haven't I done that before? And then, you kind of go into that overthinking thing. But outside of that, it's quite easy once you kind of sit in it and you're happy with it, because it makes so much sense once you go through your human design, and then you use that for your launch process. It just makes the process, like, it doesn't feel like work. It's just simple.
Yeah, it feels like, oh, that's another for me, it feels like, oh, this is another thing I'm doing in my business. It's not like, oh, I've got a launch and what am I going to do, and I can't wait for it to be over, and it's a roller coaster. I get it. So what does your launch process look like now? What changes have you made since you've done the course, and what results have you seen from that?
So I always, and this probably comes a little bit from my coaching side of things as well, like the way that I coach. So I always work backwards from an event. So when I'm planning for myself, I always go, okay, what date do I want to start it? And I'm like, okay, if this is the start date. So I'll use my 12-week challenge as an example, because it's probably the most relevant and recent one.
Okay.
So it started on this one. It starts on the 22nd of this month. And then, so basically I work backwards from there. So I'm like, okay, so it starts on the 22nd. What date do I need the registrations for it to be closed in to enable me to get everyone started on that date? And I'm like, okay, so I'm closing registrations on the 18th. So registrations close on the 18th. It gives me a couple of days to set everyone up and get ready for that 22nd date, right? So then I'm like, okay, so registration's closed by then. I have to have all the interest, everyone in and ready to go by then. What exactly do I want to do to get people to that registration point? So we came up.
Sorry, if I can just jump in. I didn't mean to interrupt you. For those of you that are watching, as part of the course, you do get a bonus masterclass, which is how to create your own launch calendar by design, which is what Kel's describing. And I give you a link to my Google Calendar that I use that you can import into yours. And that will give you an idea of how I do it and the way I teach it in the course, which I think was really useful. From the feedback we got from the students, it was really useful with that, having that calendar kind of that framework, but then you could tweak it according to your design.
So when we originally spoke about this, when you and I originally spoke about me doing this, we were using coffee cups and napkins to work on the process.
We were. I was explaining it.
So I've got, my launch date, my registration date. Cool. There's 2 dates already locked and loaded in. I know exactly where I'm at. I know where the end of my challenge is at. I can see that that's the light at the end of the tunnel. So the next part is, okay, how am I getting there? And so I came up with your assistance, came up with the idea of, so initially doing lives to promote a private Facebook group. And that private Facebook group was then an exclusive group to allow, early access, bonuses, all of those sorts of things. So it's a funnel, for loss of better words. So we're like, okay, so we start with a couple of live videos on Instagram and Facebook, and we're going to pull people in who are perhaps interested in the idea. So I don't give too much information away in those lives, but just enough so that people are kind of like, oh, that's interesting. I might be interested in that. And then from that, they go into the into the Facebook group. And then within that Facebook group, I say, okay, depending on what I want to do. So for example, my 12-week challenge had 4 different package options, which included, but not limited to, a photo shoot and stage. And so I decided that based off of what I wanted people to know about the challenge and the things or the questions that I got asked, I would do 5 lives across 2 weeks. And so I planned it out. So I'm like, okay, so if I want the registration cutoff date to be the 18th, then I backdate 2 weeks, and that's when the Facebook group is open. So it's open for a 2-week block period where I do lives, very specific lives in that group. And then the week before that is when I start my, my lives that just kind of grab that interest. So there's my calendar from the back end of it all the way to the start. And then I go, right, this is the day I need to start. And then I just block myself out in the calendar. So it's like, right, today I'm doing a live and today I'm doing a live. So I, put them out on the internet and say, I'm going to be live on this time, I'm going to talk about this, and then people will, you know, come and see that, or they see it afterwards. They go filter into that Facebook group, and then in that Facebook group I created the live events, and very specifically made those events extremely specific to that challenge. So it was, you know, what stage looks like, what the photo shoot looks like, how are we going to get here, what's involved, those kinds of things. So it really nails down people and gives them that very direct and information around what the challenge is about. But what it also does is it really narrows down for everyone their expectations as well, which is really important for me as a trainer. That everyone kind of understands the expectations that 12 weeks is going to do. So it also kind of gives you that second thing. And then what it also does is it gets the interest of the people who are really, really, like, you are choosing who you want out of that group, because you're being so specific about what you want from the group. Then the people who really want to do that challenge are the ones that filter through. And so and I always stick to my deadlines, because I've found that people can be a bit like, you've got to draw your borders, you've got to make your intentions very clear. And so anyone who didn't register by midnight last night has now been removed from the group, so that it's the people who registered who are only in that group, so that other people aren't getting what my group have paid for now. So yeah, very intentional with timeframes, and just stuck to the timeframes no matter what was going on. It was like, this is the day I'm going live, this is the time, this is the day I'm going live, this is the time, this is what I'm talking about. But it was also presented to the group in a way that they knew that that was coming up as well, so that they could either make themselves available, or they're like, oh, I can't, because I had quite a few messages saying, I can't make it to the live, will you be posting it? And I always obviously post it back up into the group. So then it gives people that, like, and you can kind of gauge intent from that as well, because you can work out, you know, who's really interested.
Yeah,
you
can
kind of
for it.
So you're kind of gauging that interest and things like that. So that's kind of my blueprint.
And that's exactly the goal of the course. What was I going to say? Oh, yes. And I love what you said about boundaries, because we talk a lot about that in Blueprint, about what is the definition of your root center, because that is very dependent on what that definition is. Can tell you a lot about whether you meet deadlines by using pressure that comes externally or pressure that comes externally, and the big difference in how to leverage both of those. So yeah, that was interesting that you said that. So what do you think was the most valuable part of the program? Can you pick out one thing that kind of stands out?
That's rough. To be honest, for me, it's the calendar, like, because it provided me with an idea of a plan, and so I wasn't so overwhelmed by coming up with my own plan for it, if that makes sense. So that calendar really helps kind of set you up. It's a bone structure of how you can set your blueprint out. And so because I'm not having to create all of that myself, and I'm not feeling so overwhelmed from it, so I think that's probably one of the biggest benefits of the course.
I've had quite a few people tell me that same thing. And for anyone watching, my energy is a 6-2, so I have the energy of one, wanting to be a teacher rather than a coach in group programs, so very much teaching you tools, and I have a drive to make my students independent. So as Kel, as you're expressing now, you've now got the tools to go away and repeat it over and over. You don't need to come back for more and more. Well, you've done two. You've done two. So that's very much kind of the focus of the way the program is delivered. Here's an interesting one. I love asking this question. What do you think would have happened if you hadn't enrolled? How do you think your launch process would have played out, and how it might have affected your business?
I mean, I feel like it would just do the same thing as it's always done. So I did a 12-week challenge at the start of last year, and I think we were talking about this yesterday. So it's grown significantly from last year. But the biggest difference between this challenge this year and the one last year is last year I managed to secure in my 12-week challenge. Most of the girls who did it were already clients of mine. So it was people who already knew me, who already trusted me, who just wanted to do the 12-week challenge for the photo shoot purpose. Whereas this time I've actually managed to get probably, I'd say 70-30%. So 70% are actually not already existing clients. So a lot of them are people who have either been following me and not known how to work with me, or people who have been shown my challenge by someone else, or they've seen it on Facebook, or whatever the situation is. They've jumped into the group and they're like, oh, I really like your energy, or I really like the way you do things, or whatever it might be. So the big significant difference between, you know, the way that I was doing it before and this time is that I'm gaining new clients, I'm helping new people. And that's the biggest thing. So I think that if I had just done it the same as I did last year, the chances are it would have ended up the same as it did last year, and it would be all of my existing team who's doing the challenge, and I'm not actually kind of helping any new people. And this year very specifically for me was about getting more into, you know, the photo shoot and the athletic side of coaching, because that's what I'm super passionate about and I love doing, especially photo shoots because they're so empowering. And so it was really good to kind of get quite a lot more of the new clients in and interested in that stuff. And, you know, that's a big trust in someone to say, yeah, I'll give you everything for 12 weeks and I'll stand in front of a camera at the end of 12 weeks. So it's a big ask for people. So yeah, I think that if I hadn't have done the blueprint, then it just would have ended up like last year, and it would just be my team members who already exist with me, who are going to be, which, don't get me wrong, any one of my team members who's watching, I love you guys to pieces. But like, it's always good to help new people, because that's what I want to do, as you know. I just want to help everyone be their best selves. So,
and you want to expand your business at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
We hold both of those things in our energy at the same time. Absolutely. Yeah. So just a couple of final questions. Who do you think Human Design Launch Blueprint is great for? Who would you recommend it to?
Anyone who has a business. Anyone who has a business. I don't think I think that the best thing about it is it can be applied to any kind of business. You don't have to be a coach. You don't have to be, you know, a PT. You don't have to be, you know, business coach. It doesn't matter who you are. It's super malleable in the way that you can just mold it to suit your industry. So I don't think that, you know, I don't think it's limited, is what I want to say. It is for people, I think, that are really kind of unsure of having that overwhelmed feeling, because a lot of the time I would get that overwhelmed feeling when I'm trying to launch something. Like, you have everyone puts that pressure on themselves, and it's always the same thing, is like, you know, I'm going to fail in the back of your head. Whereas this kind of gives you that support to say, well, this could work. Like, it's planned. And I mean, and then when you see those numbers rolling in, I remember the first launch, the first Facebook group I did with my first launch, because it was a tester for my 12-week. And I was just screenshotting you and sending you screenshots on a daily basis going,
it's amazing.
What is going on here? Like,
where are they all coming from?
I wanted 15 people and I ended up with 76 in the Facebook group. So I was just like, holy shit.
I love that.
Amazing. It was amazing.
I remember that well. And just finally, is there anything about your experience with the course that you'd like people to know, if they're kind of on the fence but they're not sure if it's for them or not? Is there any kind of one last nugget of information you can impart to them?
Yeah, get out of your own way and just do it.
Yes.
No, but seriously, like I said, I think that the biggest thing for me is, because I did that first one and we used it as a bit of a, you know, test run on the blueprint, because it was classic me, super last minute. kind of just had to make it work, right? So because I'd done the first one for my 21-day free challenge, and I'd done that one, it was really good because I'm like, I looked at it, and when it was so successful and when it all had come to fruition, I'm like, I can just literally pick this up and put it in my next one and just change what I'm talking about in a Facebook group. And do you know what I mean? So it's literally like paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. And so I will most likely use that for a majority of my launches because it's proven to work twice, not just once, twice. And because I've got so 12-week challenge ended up getting 40 people in that private Facebook group, which is completely crazy because there was nothing free about that. The first one, like I got 76, and that's, I would say like a lot of that is because it was free. So obviously people are attracted to free stuff. This one was never free, like, and so to have 40 people join in to go, I'm actually interested in investing into you, was still amazing. Like it was just so, it was far more than I thought. So I think that the biggest benefit, and if you're sitting on the fence about it, is that once you've done it once, you can copy that, and just, there might be slight tweaks along the way. I don't even think I tweaked this one because it worked so well the first time. I did do less lives in the second round because I did like seriously overcommit myself, because it's me, in the first round, and I did 7 days worth of lives, and I hate working on the weekends. So I cut that out. But other than that, and it's all a learning, like everything you do is a learning experience in business anyway. So I think that just moving it across. So, and it could be used even if you don't have a business, I guess, and you're just looking for people to be attracted to your social media or something like that. There's no reason I couldn't use it for that purpose as well. Like it can just be utilized across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. And I like what you said about tweaking it when you understand, okay, energetically I overcommitted to that, because we teach this framework, but it's all kind of molded around your energy. And if something doesn't work for you, you can recognize it and go, oh, I get that, why that's happened. Not because I don't like doing lives, but I just overcommitted. So next time I'll just tweak it.
Yes.
Because throughout the blueprint, you'll hear me say constantly, it's about you first. It's about your boundaries and your energy, because we want to make this repeatable and successful and abundant while not having you burn out. So that's really,
and I think I was just super excited the first time because I hadn't done, like I said, I was just splashing stuff up on, Facebook and Instagram or Facebook, and like, someone's going to pick. And because I had some process in place, I kind of was a bit excited about it instead of like freaking out going, someone buy this, and just putting stories up, like, why is no one paying attention to me? We'll probably
hear of that as a launch process.
So I kind of pulled it back just a little bit for the second one, but it's worked really well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience. I'm sure anybody that's watching and is trying to make up their mind about joining Blueprint, this will really have helped them. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. And can you just share where people can find you as well if they're interested in what you've been launching and talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on Facebook. So it's just Kelly Greenslade on Facebook. It's the business page. So my business is my name. So I personally will come up as well. So if you're looking for my business page, look at my business page. If you see me personally, sure, add me as well. It's fine. And on Instagram, it's just at Kelly_Greenslade. I don't have a website, but that is in the process of going up. And I do have in the link in my bio on my Instagram is my Squarespace information. So basically you can jump on there, you can buy recipe books off of there and book in for free consultations. Even if you are an online client, I just call you, and you can book in, sign up, everything. My link tree, sorry, not my Squarespace. So my link tree, so you can get everything off of my link tree on my bio on my Instagram.
Thank you. And look at you, 2 really successful launches and no website.
Yes.
Which is a great thing for us all, right? Okay, thank you so much for sharing your experience, Kel. Thank you.
No worries, bye.
Bye.